Oh, hello everybody again. Pratt Bridge ended our stream. We're sat here speaking for, like 5 minutes afterwards to nobody. Sat here just like losers that we are. But no, I mean, welcome back again. What were we talking about? Red card, no red card. But welcome, yeah. No, I appreciate everyone for hopping in and out. But red card or no red card, Casemiro's missing the next 4 games. As I said, I don't know whether it is going to be. I'm pretty sure it's the Fulham game, including that, the FA Cup. But red card or no red card, Faz? Just repeat everything you said once again.
So the way he went in for the tackle, it firstly isn't two-footed. It's not like he's gone in two-footed studs up. One of his legs is folded. The other one, as he collides with the ball, as his side foot collides with the ball, ricochets off the ball, hits the side of the shin of the player. That shouldn't be a red card because his first collision isn't the leg. It's actually the ball and then the bounce off the ball to the leg. It is also not a red card based on if, the referees commission want to keep a consistent, good decision-making, batch of referees, then it's definitely not a red card compared to some of the other ones that we've seen. Casemiro also got a red card for grabbing a collar, which some other players have done since then as well and have not got a red card. So
consistency is the main word. I used it the last time when I had a bit of a rant at Mariner. Today's the same, I think. I think
a yellow card would be very much acceptable and understandable, but a straight red after VAR shows me how inconsistent.
We'll touch on this later, but I actually think the handball situation is worse than the red card decision. I think that handball is almost inexcusable a little bit. And again, there's going to be different views and opinions. But Kev, you mentioned consistency, and I've said it many a times when it comes to, take away VAR, refs are not always going to be consistent. That's got to be one of the reasons why VAR has been brought in to add some consistency, or to hopefully add some consistency. But it seems that every game, VAR or the referees have some talking point about them, isn't it? There's always that focus on them. But what is it that we can... Not as United fans, just as football fans, what is it that can be implemented?
The crazy thing, right, is VAR. I was a bit sceptical at the start, but I thought as long as you get the right decision, the outcome, whether it takes a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it takes, fair enough. And there was all this talk that, people up and down the land, in pubs and that, these talking points are going to go. Because you used to go in, wouldn't you? And you'd be like, that was never offside, it was given, this, that. But everything is going to be absolutely spot on. And it still isn't. I thought today...
It's probably got worse.
that referee today, whether he was a Scouser or whatever, I thought it was absolutely diabolical as a performance. I'd say it's one of the worst refereeing displays I've seen at Old Trafford. Now, VAR, we can look at the Casemiro sending off. I think it looks a lot worse when it's slowed down. And the referee, from where I'm stood, is stood right next to that. He has dished out a yellow card. He thinks that is good enough punishment. Now, when VAR are called, the minute it comes up, and he's doing that walk, he's gone. Everyone's in the crowd and we're like, he's gone. There's not a chance. Dave obviously in his ear said, you need to look at this now, whether it's, how do they look at it now? It's the force of the challenge, is he out of control? I'm sorry, but I grew up watching Steve Bruce, who used to throw in scissor tackles. I think the game's gone soft. Yeah. It really has.
Just quickly, because obviously I do want to get your opinion on this, but I have been told that apparently Garnacho is leaving the ground on crutches. Right. That can mean various different things. It can be...
Precaution.
Huge, precaution, but he is wearing one of those big protective moon boots, I imagine similar to what Eriksen was wearing. I actually wore one not too long ago myself, a few months ago, for some ankle ligaments, so hopefully he hasn't done that. But yeah, I'm keen to get your opinion on the VAR and the red card situation.
First of all, so I don't forget it, I'm dead keen to speak about a phrase that Kev's just used. Which was, and I've already forgot it. I'm losing the
How many pints did you have today,
I've got
Ricky?
2 or 3 different things in my mind. Out of control. So I want to come back to that.
Yeah, remember that one.
Right, so out of control, I want to come back to that. The first thing I want to talk about is the consistency side of it.
Yeah.
I agree we want consistency, but at the same time, a given referee on a given day has got to do what he thinks is right.
Of course.
If I was the referee, I'm not going to think about what somebody did against Chelsea yesterday or what somebody did against Liverpool last week. I'm going to do what I see correct. To me, it's a nailed-on red card all day long. And I'm glad he used that phrase. What phrase was it?
Out of control.
Out of control. Now then, there's a question here as well as a point. First of all, his foot does bounce off the top of the ball. He catches maybe this much of the top of the ball. Anybody who's played football to any level knows that when you go in for a tackle, you want to force that ball through. You know, you're trying to win the ball and you're trying to go through the man. Yep. So the best way of doing that is to get, if that's the ball, the height of the ball, the best way of doing that is to meet the middle of the ball.
Yep.
You try to meet the middle of the ball and go through it. So he doesn't meet the middle of the ball. It's called going over the top. Now, he might catch the top inch of it, but is that just luck? Does he mean to go over the top? I don't know. Or is he deliberately trying to only clip the top of the ball so that he knows he's then going to get him as well and thinks he might get away with it? There's all different possibilities. But there's one thing for certain. What is it?
Out of control.
Right. Now then, if he is a world-class defensive midfield player, he should not be meeting the top of the ball instead of the bottom of the ball. So is he out of control?
But he's won the ball.
Well, he's touched the ball.
Yeah,
he's touched the ball.
Is this not like changes from what it used to be?
My point is, he hasn't gone through the ball. He's caught the top of the ball. Yeah. A top professional footballer should not be catching the top of the ball. He shouldn't be doing that.
But why has it changed that, right? You win the ball first. It was usually, as long as you win that ball, your momentum might take you into that player. But as long as you win that ball first, Wes Brown used to do it all the time.
Don't know.
Bang. As long as you touch the ball first, and then you wipe a player out, that is not a foul.
I think that is if you actually take the ball pretty cleanly.
Yeah,
this is a different situation. He hasn't really won the ball. He hasn't taken.
It depends
if you take the ball cleanly, Keano was great. Go through the ball, take the man. They used to say that, didn't they? Take the lot. That's fine, but you've got to take the middle. You've got to take the meat of the ball, the middle of the ball, not the top inch of the ball. So he's out of control. Or if he's not out of control, he needs to be better at it. Because it's not good, that.
I think
what's the point of catching the top inch of the ball?
I just think, right, if let's say, for argument's sake, Ward-Prowse had done that on Casemiro today, I don't think we would have all been baying for a red card and going absolutely mental and saying it's a shocking challenge.
I would.
I think I would as well. And I think of it because from when these type of tackles, especially in like non-league, for instance, obviously you don't get the luxury, and you do get rubbish refs. Referees are absolutely diabolical. There's a shortage for like non-league refs and everything, right?
There's a shortage in the Premier League.
Just because of the amount of stick they get, no one wants to do it, fair enough. But those type of tackles will go unnoticed and noticed just, equally, but that is a tackle that at the time, if you see that, if you're there, then yeah, that's something that you would, me personally, I would be asking for a red card on. I think there's a way, again, it's different interpretations, but for instance, if a defender wins the ball from behind the attacker, but they can be classed as going through them, but they still won the ball, but that is a foul, isn't it? Even if they win the ball, but there is different ways, and I do, to some degree, I do understand some people's arguments as to why they don't think it's a red card, but then I also, when I saw it back on the replay, obviously in real time and straight away, it is what it is. You don't see it because the camera angle.
This is why I'm trying to say it looks worse when it's slowed down. When I went down at half time and I see it, and you see then again what that referee is watching. Again, I said, the referee was stood next to that, and in quick time, which I seen it as, he's dished out a yellow card. That should be enough. Now, this is, again, inconsistent VAR. The minute, like I say, backing up what I said, he's getting sent off then.
The VAR people.
And who was in the VAR room?
The VAR people. Yeah. The VAR people need to be taken to task over this, not the referee, because there's three things there that have happened today that could or did go to VAR. So it's the VAR people that have said to him in his ear, go and have a look at that. So he's going to have a look at it, and I agree with him. He's seen it on the screen, and I think he's right. I think he's got to send him off. But the VAR people have told him. Now then, if the VAR people would have told him to go and look at the handball, he might have given that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm also told by somebody, I've not seen this bit yet because it was second half. I'm also told that the keeper did catch Rashford when he went through late on. I've not seen it on the screen. But whether he did or he didn't, maybe the VAR people could have said, if you think he didn't, fair enough. But certainly the handball, the VAR people, it's them that should be taken to task. The referee's got two decisions wrong, but they've only told him to go and look at one of them.
Well, again, it comes
we
down
don't want picking up on every decision because we always said it's going to slow the game down. The main thing for me is key decisions. Again, I've not seen the Rashford one back, but I was in the Stretford end. It looked like the keeper did touch him. I don't know again, but what?
From the replay, like, I'm pretty sure that he didn't touch him.
Right.
And I don't think it was Rashford diving. It was actually Rashford kicked his own foot, which made him fall over.
He does that a lot.
But I can tell that's something you might want to get into. But no, I think it was him kicking his. Apparently, what? Sorry, the keeper's knee hit Rashford.
Right.
Okay, who's saying that? Just the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It looked like
Beth's saying it. Beth's saying it. But I just on the replay that I saw, I didn't think he did. But okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. But you wanted to.
I just wanted to say, I think there needs to be. VAR has had a lot of criticism when it first got introduced, and people didn't want to lose football. I think if we are going to introduce technology and we're going to go into this direction, we need to have a way of having clear transparency between the decisions being made, the communication that are taking place between VAR and the refs, and what's being relayed on the pitch. I really, really think clubs need to come together and urge referees to talk at the end of a game and the reasons why they made the decision. The rule book, in all honesty, I wish I could speak Chinese, but it sounds like Chinese.
Do you think
I can't understand
the thing is, it's the idiots that are running VAR. The technology is there to be used. How many times? What was the Arsenal one? The goal against Arsenal. They forgot to draw the lines on the front. You're like, what is going on?
It's laughable, isn't it? It is
Every
laughable.
week we seeming to go online and having to look at the referee VAR Bible to trying to figure out what the call was and why was it offside, why was it not handball. It shouldn't be like that. What should happen is us as fans in the stadium, when a decision's made, the reason should come up and the referee should actually be able to say it in the speech. Reason why I'm making this decision is this. Or even after the game to BT or Sky Sports. Imagine that then. Because he could be held accountable.
Maybe they need some ex-players in there to help them out. You know, people that have, as Souness would say, played the game.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that's played football that understands these kind of decisions.
I do agree with you, Kev, but I do see people on Match of the Day and things like that when it's running properly. I do see people on there disagreeing with each other. Yeah. So even ex-professionals, they have, you know.
For instance, you couldn't have Jamie Carragher, you know, in the VAR centre today when United played.
I don't know what you guys think in terms of just having transparency.
Well, I put a tweet out saying, is it time that referees do post-match interviews? You know, you look at different models like
NFL.
You look at just rugby, for instance. Like the ref is so respected, isn't it? And it's very much like you say one thing to a ref and you're getting, I don't know whether it's sin bin or whatever rule it is. You know, you're not doing it for more than once, right? And they're mic'd up. You know, there's conversations and stuff. So I don't know if that's a rule that needs to be improved upon, because it definitely is. But Super chat, VAR conversations must be broadcasted live in the stadium. It happens in other major sports. The refereeing decision making cannot be confidential. This will bring the incompetency to light, says Kushik.
Love that comment.
That's exactly remember what I said after Mariner sent off Casemiro against Crystal Palace, and we had a similar conversation here about VAR and stuff. And it's a great point. Why can't referees be held accountable and actually come out and explain? I mean, United gets smashed at Anfield 7-0. I know we said we won't talk about it again, but still players, the manager, had to come out and try and explain what had happened. That referee today, for me, that's just as bad as a performance that United put in last week. So why can't he come out and say, if he wants to stand by what he said, he might tell us, Mariner said, it's the force and the way he's gone in.
It's the VAR, man.
I'm sure that there would be, or they'd give some form of reason as to why they don't,
Just
that
an
isn't
explanation.
involved. I'm sure they would be able to kind of counteract or come up with a counterpoint. Whether we'd agree with that is obviously a different story. But I think for me, there's just. Every single week, and this isn't just for Manchester United games, I want to make it clear because it isn't a bias. It's the same thing with Chelsea, yesterday's game. It happens pretty much every single game. There is a decision that takes over and is then the talking point of the game rather than, do you remember this goal? Do you remember? There's always something that isn't what the players
when
have
in
done
theory
on the
it
pitch.
shouldn't be, because we've got the technology. They shouldn't be getting decisions.
They pick and choose which games they're going to have VAR and which games they're not going to have, because there's some games that don't have VAR, which doesn't make sense.
It's like some of the cup games. It's absolutely scandalous. And then if you play a team, you know, it's in a different league that does, you know, they haven't got VAR, but yet they'll run it in the same competition. You could be playing wherever, you know, at a Premier League ground, you've got it in the same competition. Yeah. It falls down for me.
Chris says, keeper's knee clearly connects with Rashford's left foot, knocking it into his right, causing him to fall. They showed a replay 5 minutes after it happened. Okay, maybe I missed that. Just from the one that I saw straight afterwards, it didn't look like it. But again, it's the consistency of then VAR not being, or I don't know if they did or didn't look at it. That's also an annoying thing, right? We don't know what they're looking at. Yeah. You know, if they did look at it, why they ruled it out, or, you know, there's loads of different things. Ryan says, in American football, referees explain decisions after reviews. No reason this can't be implemented. And Alan says, VAR needs to have the same 5 or 6 people every weekend, not messing around with refs on Saturday, then to be VAR the next day. That's why it's so inconsistent. I mean, they'd have a lot of hours, wouldn't they? Covering the same 5 or 6 people.
You've got games simultaneously going on. How are they going to be at every ground up and down the country?
That'd make it worse. Watching 3 games at once. Imagine
I missed that one.
Didn't see that one, mate. Carry on.
That's where you'd at least let them off. You go, well, fair enough, he's got to watch 100 games.
I was watching the other game then.
Yeah. We'll stick on the... we'll move on to the handball, obviously. Was it Bella Kotchup who was the person who might have handballed it for Southampton, was it?
I think so.
I mean, whoever it was, regardless, again, how do you interpret? He slipped, and he's obviously stopping himself from face planting the floor, putting his arms down. Is that then considered a natural position, hence why it's not been given as a penalty? Personally, I don't agree with that. I think, you know, so he's then...
You might not agree with it, right? But they've been given. And again, this is where consistency...
No, I agree. I don't agree with the fact that the natural position is considered with his hands on the floor. I don't think... So what? Like, is he then... I just don't think... So he stopped himself, and he's even trying to move it, and it still hits his arm. Like, I don't understand what... And if he doesn't move it, then what Weghorst is going to probably... get on the end of it, right? Because it was if he didn't touch it, Weghorst is gonna. But what do you think, Faz? Do you think?
I think again, it's another one where what was more annoying is, okay, it's a lot of hassle going on and blah blah blah. It's happened quick, right? You can't make your mind up. But why do you have VAR? The same reason is whilst everything's happening, the VAR will run it through. There'll be a person, and then they come and tell you, right, this has happened. Natural position or not, the contact has been made, so it should be looked at. Yeah, that's the most important thing. And
Ten Hag. There is a quote. Ten Hag saying this game was influenced by the referee. So it's clear. I mean, it's clear to.
I've gone down earlier. Honestly, I think it's one of the most shocking referee performances. I mean, I think back to like when United got knocked out by Real Madrid, the Nani red card. You know, I still wake up some days. You know, even to this day. God, how many years ago was that? And I was still fume about that sending off. You know, the disjustice that Manchester United suffered. You know, it changed the game, and the red card today has changed this game. Yeah. You know, nobody can tell you any different. You know, people can look and think, oh, is it a mentality, psychological thing? Because in theory, all we've had to do is bring off Ruud van Weghorst. We bring on McTominay, put him in the middle. So really, you're only missing a player up front. It changes everything. You know, even for the fact that I'm saying you're bringing on McTominay, you know, in place of Casemiro, that is huge in itself. You've got a team that's fighting for their lives.
I thought McTominay played better than Casemiro was playing. I thought he played a lot better.
Can I just say...
Casemiro gave a couple of really sloppy passes away before he went off. McTominay, I thought he was absolutely superb.
Yeah. Can I just say on that point on the VAR, it needs to be where they look at everything, and at the end of the game, we can get a breakdown as what were looked at, what were the reasons for not calling the ref and having a look at it, and what were the reasons for, let's say, the red card situation for them to call. Because the fact is, once the contact was made, in the stadium, everybody's watching it from different angle, distance, whatever. You might not see it as close as maybe you or someone on TV watched it. We don't know how much contact is actually made and, you know, how it's made. We're in the stadium, we're far away. there needs to be a way where fans can watch this, replay this back in the stadium.
It's communication.
It needs to happen. We're missing out. We're paying thousands and thousands of pounds to enjoy football, and we're not getting the service technically that we deserve. And we rightly deserve to know how much contact was made, visualize it, and then explain to us the reason why VAR did not ask the ref to go and check. Not that the VAR did. I want to know the reason. It's education at the end of the day.
It's crazy that it's actually become a thing now, this kind of wait. Is it a goal? And, you know, we've celebrated goals. 2 minutes going absolutely mental.
Yeah.
You restart in the game, and then all of a sudden, VAR checking possible offside, you know, and you're like, and it's this wait in the state, you know, the drama. I don't know whether the Premier League, you know, has built this up into some kind of thing where they think it is.
If you think back to, was it the COVID season? It actually went in our favour when we played Brighton, and we actually had a penalty.
The game ended
after the game had finished. Like, do you know?
That's
like,
unbelievable.
in the grand scheme of things, and hindsight, that is
come back out to take a penalty.
Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, that is. I mean, you know, it's obviously.
It was for us, but
yeah,
it's
it's gone in our
ridiculous.
favour. But like, you know,
lovely,
it's ages ago, so it doesn't matter now. But. You know, I'll read a few quotes from Ten Hag, because he does say, you know, about the ref. So this is on whether we should have had a penalty. He said, definitely, there's no doubt. I don't know why VAR didn't interrupt.
Exactly the point. VAR, not the ref, the VAR.
And this was what we've already talked about to do with Casemiro on the red card. It says, Casemiro played over 500 games in Europe and never once got a red card. Now he has 2 in the Premier League. His absence is not the issue. We will deal with that. The game was influenced by the referee. So the broader point of the smaller quote that I did read out earlier. So, I mean, it's quite clear that Ten Hag, and what I like is that he doesn't necessarily do what a stereotypical Jose Mourinho would do and come out and, you know,
say
and
nothing.
be... Yeah, you know,
maybe throw a water bottle.
Yeah, you know, go over the top. But he makes it quite clearly known that, you know, he's not happy with X, Y, Z, which...
And so he should.
like.
They're so well protected, these referees. They have to be accountable for these decisions that they're making. You know, they've changed the outcome of the game.
I think Ten Hag will have a snapping point with this, because I watch him, obviously you guys as well, watch him, how he was with the presser when he first started in the club, then how he was with the, you know, certain decisions. I've seen him, awful decision, and he just stands still. He doesn't even move, nothing. But now I've seen him today really animated on the touchline and really, you know, talking to the referee next to him, like, what is going on here? This is not fair. Even the time wasting at the end and etc. I think Ten Hag, you know, now that he's coming out publicly saying stuff like that, I think there'll be a point where he will start getting angry now.
It got to the point at the end of the game today when the board went up and it was 4 minutes, and I'm like... It should have been more than 4 minutes. I'm not... Listen, I can say it through my red-tinted specs. I'm a United fan, you know, but there was a couple of more minutes that we've just disappeared.
Yeah,
there.
easily.
Yeah.
We were down to 10 men, and you are 100% right. You're 100% right. There should have been more injury time.
The amount of substitutions.
If they'd played more injury time, there's equally as much chance that they'd have won it rather than us. It's unusual, that at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
I know we won it because we
going.
think we're going to score. We're down to 10 men, you know.
And not many attacking players had to come off as well.
Yeah, Eric says in hockey, NHL hockey has centralised situation room based in Toronto that handles all situations in all the games that is played, so it can be done. Interesting. Obviously, don't know anything about that. Anthony says, red or not, Casemiro has looked off the pace in recent games, needed a rest,
Agreed.
and now he misses the next 4. Ten Hag needs to rotate in games like this. Well, now that's it. He's forced his hand. Now he has to
have a rest now. Yeah.
Has to obviously not be played. Obviously, he'll be able to play in Europe in between. Obviously, Betis is next week, and then I'm not sure. Obviously, how soon is it then we go again the week after? Should we progress? I'm guessing the draw will be straight after. Focusing on the wrong things. 4-1-4-1 formation was wrong, says International 2675. Cheers, buddy. But no, I mean, you mentioned something about Casemiro obviously earlier and before we went live, and said that you thought he was sloppy and a bit off the pace. Do you think that's a bigger issue than just today's game? Do you think that's over the past few games?
There's a few games I've seen, I can't remember, I can't name exactly, you know, but I've seen a few games recently where I've thought Casemiro has been a little bit sloppy with his distribution.
It's not bad though if you say a few games.
No, but he's also, as somebody's just said in the chat there, he looks a little bit off, he looks a bit leggy, he looks a little bit let me put it this way to you. The way McTominay got about the field today when he came on, his energy and his stride length, if you like, and his sheer coverage of the ground is much better than Casemiro's. He did one block challenge in his own 6-yard box, and I know lots of people will probably come in the chat and say, I've seen Casemiro do that. I have seen Casemiro do that, but that's more in a situation where we're already defending and the ball's in our third and we're already back. The challenge that McTominay did, they were on a break and he had to race 40 yards back to get that challenge in. Casemiro isn't making that challenge, trust me. Do you know what I mean? You can just see the different energy that he's got in his game. I think there's a great chance if today, because we're playing with 10 men in a Premier League game is tough, and we played for an hour with 10 men. If today, for whatever reason, he would have decided to give Casemiro a rest, and it was McTominay who got the red card, because he's playing with 10 men is the important bit, don't forget. He's playing with 11 men, Casemiro, when he plays. If he was playing in the midfield instead of McTominay with 10 men, I think we'd have lost. I think we'd have lost. The legs and the energy that you've got with McTominay is so vital.
It's an interesting point of view, because I did think McTominay played well when he he's been having, he's been injured and he's been having the odd cameo, but he got a lengthy period of the game today, didn't he? Obviously forced substitution, onto the field, but yeah, I thought he did play well. It's good that you bring up, whether people agree or not, it's good that you do bring up different points of view. Again, it's opinion, right? And that's why people watch the channel. That's why you guys are so active in the chat, and because say, for instance, as much as you don't agree with it, you could think, or me, for instance, you go, I didn't look at it from that point of view, and not just for this part, for instance, but various other things. Alan Kenny actually raises a good point here and says it's a big risk playing Casemiro on Thursday, because if he gets a yellow, he will be suspended for the quarter-final first leg. Yeah, I forgot about that. So to be fair, well, you'd like to say with a 3-goal cushion that we could afford to rotate a little bit.
We've got one foot in the door, really.
Bring McTominay in for that game,
He
possibly.
probably needs a rest anyway, and it isn't as important as most people think. He really isn't as important.
Wow, no, that is not. No. That is criminal for you to say that. That is criminal.
On that, right? You're on about McTominay running around. McTominay can look lively. Yeah.
No, Ricky, you make a lot of good points, but that is. Do you know how important this man is?
He needs a breather. He's looking leggy to me. He's looking leggy.
Casemiro doesn't do what McTominay does because his positional play and what he actually brings to the team, he doesn't have to be erratic like a McTominay who runs around looking lively.
His red card today might be to do with him not being quite at it and just quite sharp enough.
That's his bread and butter.
I agree, he goes for challenges like that, but he's got to make that challenge. As I've said earlier, you've got to go through the ball. You don't catch the top of the ball. Why is he catching the top of the ball?
In the heat of the moment, you're not going to calculate X equals to Y and Z, and I'm supposed to play the middle. You go in and you go in.
I've played 1,000 football games and I've made 6,000 tackles. You go through the middle of the ball. You don't have to think about it.
Maybe he thought
it's a natural thing. You go through the middle of the ball. You don't catch the top of the ball.
But that's not even the argument, though, Ricky. The argument is you said he's not as important as we think, and that is diabolical.
He isn't.
That is not.
Yes.
No, Ricky, you get away with a lot of things.
I'll tell you what I said on the show that I did with Beth the other day. When we got beat at Arsenal 3-2, and he didn't play, there was lots of people saying to me, if Casemiro would have played, we would have won. We just played at Anfield and he played and we got beat 7-0. Maybe if he'd have played at Arsenal, maybe we'd have got beat 7-0. Nobody can argue against it because people would have said at the time, impossible, we can't get beat 7-0 with Casemiro and Varane and Martinez all playing. I know they took Casemiro off. It was 5-0 when they took him off, so it's not a, you know what I mean? I mean, come on, we got beat 7-0 with him playing against Liverpool. Have a little think about it.
Yeah, but come on.
It's not all his fault.
11 players that didn't turn up that night. It's hardly like...
No, I agree. But it's just not as fantastic and rosy as everybody seems to think it is.
I think he's been an absolute... I'm just trying to process
the best defensive midfielder in the world is not as important.
I think
that's only your opinion, Faz.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, watch yesterday, and I'd have him in front of him every day of the week. And Geese are playing for Napoli. I'd have him every day of the week. Energy, gets around the park, great tackle, strong in it, as Casemiro does, but he's got more energy. I think we've bought him towards the end of his career, and I just don't think he gets around the park well enough for me.
But he also played in a 4-3, the way he set up Bruno, Sancho and Casemiro in the middle. He has to do a bit more work because Sancho's higher up. Bruno's obviously having to have that free roam.
That was a risk today.
Casemiro has to...
I also spoke to Beth before the game.
Can I just...
Sorry, go on.
If Fred is next to him, it's a little bit different. Fred brings the legs and energy, and Fred can cover a lot of ground that Casemiro doesn't.
Fred's underrated for that type of...
So before we dive in and say Casemiro XYZ, and I understand it's your...
I'll hold my hand up there. I agree.
I understand it's your opinion, but the formation that we set out in, a lot of the time, Sancho on the right, Bruno on the left, you see Sancho not tracking hard enough in the half space. So you have this little area that Casemiro has to mark, but then you see Bruno on the left, where he's much higher up near the touchline, and now he has to cover this side as well. It is a possibility that because he's mentally or physically a bit leggy or drained, he's gone in a challenge where he's not calculated the risk and the force. It is possible, but to say that he doesn't bring the energy or etc., it's not fair, because when you bring in someone like a Fred or a McTominay, he has less of a job to do. Reason why we've been begging for Sabitzer and him to play, numerous games together.
I completely agree with you. I said before the game, as I was just about to say, that I think this could go wrong because we've got too many attacking players in again. Bruno is going to have to be more disciplined because obviously we had Sancho, we had Anthony, we had Rashford, we had Weghorst, we've got Casemiro, and I've heard it said many, many, many times, dozens and dozens of times I've heard people say that one man can do that job. One man cannot do that job, I don't care who it is. You need two people holding your midfield. You need two. And even before we got the... We were probably no worse off playing with 10 men as we were with 11. I mean, they had a couple of great chances while we were playing with 11 men. Do you know what I mean? We were probably not much... At least when we were down to 10, we knew that we had to sit back. We knew that we had to be compact. We knew we had to make it difficult. We might have lost that game if we'd got... We'd never know, we haven't got a crystal ball. They were getting chances before the red card. But you do need too many in there. So I will give you that with Casemiro. Either Fred should have played or McTominay's got to play next to Casemiro. It's not a job for one man.
The fact is, when you have, I just want to break it down for the viewers. When you have a Casemiro and a Fred, you have a Bruno just higher up who has the option to go like a window wiper left or right. That's what you see Bruno do, running around freely because he knows he's got that protection of Fred, who's a little bit higher up but has the pace to come back. When you have a Sancho and Bruno, you don't have the same intensity from Sancho. And who's going to sit in with Casemiro? If you need someone just a couple of yards next to Casemiro to sit in and cover those spaces where Bruno and whatever is missing, that's Fred's job. That's why, again, I call it bread and butter. And I feel for Casemiro today because Ten Hag took a risk with the formation. He clearly went out in an attacking formation and it kind of bit him back because Casemiro he probably felt a bit of more pressure than usual. If Fred was going to go for that tackle, maybe that's not a red card. Maybe that's a bit different. So we can have that argument. But yeah, unfortunate, really.
Well, we can move on. We brought up Sancho a little bit, and we can. There's a super chat here saying Sancho is really starting to worry me. He isn't having any influence on the game when he's on. So we'll bring him up, right? He played in a multitude of positions today, didn't he? He found himself as the number 9 for a bit, which I don't know if he's... well, I think he probably has done it at some point, but he's not known for doing. Did he play out on one of the wings for some bit, and then obviously was kind of operating in this number 10 area? And a lot of people have this obsession with Sancho working as a number 10, right? And he's only going to be successful as a number 10 when... for the most part, his numbers were put together from playing on the right at Dortmund, right, and having a pretty good partnership with Haaland. So, and a lot of people are recency biased in the sense of, he's some people thought and it'd be interesting to get your guys' point of view from this. Obviously, you were all live at the game, but Sancho for part of it. He still dips in and out for me very much of he'll have a good 10 minutes and then he goes missing for 10 minutes. And it is just finding that level of consistency, regardless of what position he plays. He can play left back, right back, in goal, it doesn't matter. He just needs to find that consistency, So, Kev, would you? Because it's a difficult topic, I think, because I don't. For whatever Sancho's gone through mentally or whatever, I don't want to write him off because of that, but also not because of that, right? I still think there is a player in Sancho. It's just at what point and how long do we give him? Because I did put a tweet out that ruffled a few feathers, and I don't know why, but it is on Twitter. If you say something, ask a question, automatically everyone thinks that you hate that person, right? All I said was, if a suitable offer comes in for Sancho, would you sell him? That's all I said. And obviously everyone jumps on the back of that and thinks, you know, you hate Sancho, but that's not the case. But at what point does Sancho become, you know, it's not Ten Hag's player. It's quite clear, you know, he and I think he is capable of getting something out of him. But how long do we give it before it's a bit of a, you know?
It's a great question, that, because I actually found, before even talking to you there and you saying that to me, I find myself today thinking, I've defended him, I'll stick by him, whatever, but there comes a time when, yes, there's no doubt there's talent there, and we can look back at the days at Borussia Dortmund where you go, he was fantastic. Probably helps having Haaland, you know, supplying Haaland as well. But at the same time, from a Man United fan's point or perspective, you have to kind of look now, and you mentioned the word there, worried. That's what I am at the minute. I kind of look and I think, all right, mate, I've give you time. Yes, the mental health side of it. I thought Ten Hag played a blinder. He's been away. He's trained. You know, he's starting to integrate him back into this team now. But I'm not really seeing much to... And you talk about consistency. Consistency comes with a run of form. The only way he's going to get that is if he's performing at Manchester United. You know, that's how you get into the team.
I think
a run of games.
Even
if
you just,
he's not.
Even if you just think of it of like, did he do it? Has he done enough today to warrant starting for the next game?
No.
Like, you know, forget any
very good question.
agendas, anything like that. Has he done enough in today's game, regardless of the situation? Obviously, down to 10 men, etc. But has he done enough to start the next game? I don't think he has. No,
there was moments when he gave the ball away today, sloppy. You could say that about a few of them out there today, but Sancho, from what I've seen, you know, even just the basics of trying to keep the ball, trying to get United up the pitch, even when we went down to 10 men, you look, and there was frustration. There was people near me, so I know it's not just me. I've not got an agenda with Sancho.
Yeah.
There's people in the crowd stood around me, and I'm kind of sat back with the popcorn out, you know what I mean, listening.
The frustrating thing for me is I want it to work for him so bad, and there was moments in the game where I thought he was brilliant, you know, intricate passes. He does seem to have the composure on the ball, you know, when he drops in and he almost has his back to goal and he'll just pop it back off to Wan-Bissaka or whoever. He does show moments like that. Again,
but like you said, he drops in and out of games. I think at this level, it's very difficult. I'd be surprised if anyone in the comment section feels different, but you have to look at it and go, can you afford at Manchester United, you know, in big games to be, you know, what? So, all right, it looks all right for 2 or 3 minutes, but then he goes, what? Miss him for 15 minutes. I don't get it. I really don't. And I want to see him succeed at United. I'm not for 1 minute saying I don't think he's a great player.
Can I ask a question to you lads?
Go on. Yeah.
Did Sancho play any better or any worse than Marcus Rashford? Did he play any better or any worse than Anthony?
No, I don't think so. But then there's a broader.
Could I just say answer that? I think that's a very good question. Whether they play good or bad, but I think the answer, my response would be is the other players had more intensity that Sancho didn't. Sancho's very good when Martial is on the pitch. When a player is holding the ball, because his bread and butter is pass, move, find pockets of space, slip passes in. He's not going to be the one that zips passes, you know, line breaking. He's going to find intricate passes. He needs a player that can hold the ball so he can shift himself. But then, what's after that? Where's the intensity off the ball? Because once the red card situation had happened, Sancho was kind of asked to do a lone job in the central position.
He changed it, yeah.
Tough job.
Very tough, of course, very tough. But I'm now thinking, where is your fitness? Where's your fitness? If the ball is... We're beating the press, ball's been zipped in, you must get there. Because if you get there, 20 yards higher up, 30 yards higher up, and you win that ball, or you keep that ball there, you're bringing your team 20, 30 yards higher up as well, because in second half, we were so deep constantly. And that's where I was raising a bit of eyebrow thinking, you have to get there, because Marcus Rashford would get there, Anthony would get there, use their physicality to at least slow the defender down, or maybe cause a bit of concern for the defender or the keeper, whatever. But Sancho just got there a little bit. Easy for the defender too. He's never been physical, has he? But this is my thing. Where's your intensity? I need you. And I'm going to reference Ten Hag when he said in the press conference, Garnacho can keep intensity from minute 1 to minute 90 and 120. Because clearly they're training for 120 minutes or whatever in game scenarios in training. Ten Hag said this in a press conference. It is very important to make sure a player doesn't fade in games. This is what was happening with Garnacho at the start of the season. He was fading in games. That's my concern. I don't have any concern with technicality, ability, probably mentality as well, no concerns. But I need you to be performing at a level that the manager's demanding from his wingers. Because look, Elanga, intensity. Pelestri, intensity. Garnacho, intensity. Rashford, Anthony, all of the wingers. Gakpo, we were linked with extreme intensity. Nunes, we were linked with extreme intensity. This is what we need from the wingers. And Sancho's lacking that. And I wonder why Ten Hag was linked with so many wingers in the summer and in the January transfer window as well.
Yeah, that's what it does come down to. Listen, I've not got anything against the lad. He's a United player at the end of the day, but I need to be seeing more. You know?
I'll just run through some super chats quickly because we missed a few. Troy says, very good player, but I question Casemiro's fitness level. Aidan says, short memory Ricky, McTominay has misplaced passes for years. International back says, exactly wrong formation today. Casemiro was alone. NASA says, I want to put a question to all four of you that if that would have been Arsenal and Ødegaard made that challenge, do you think it would have been the same outcome? I mean, I don't know, but that's the thing, isn't it? That's the consistency thing that we're talking about. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Jack says, Sancho was 7 out of 10, was involved in every attack. WTF. Baron says, North American hockey has a war room that makes all VAR decisions in New York. Same team of officials all the time. Not impossible to do VAR, similar to the previous one we had. SK, Sancho was playing and linking well before we went to 10 men. Remember, it was at 34 minutes.
Still should be doing that even with 10 men.
That's why I'm trying to say, bringing Weghorst off, you know, the shape of the team, yes, you are then missing out on a number 9. But the formation of the team kind of remains the same. You know, yes, you are a man down, but I think a lot of it does come down to a psychological thing.
If you're a man
even
down,
in the crowd, you're like, you almost think, God, you know, we're going to lose this game now. We're down to 10 men, but at the same time...
But let me ask you this, right? Pelestri is a problem solver. You bring Pelestri on, he can solve a problem for you. Garnacho is a problem solver. You bring him on in the second half, he can solve a problem for you. Anthony, worst player, only 1 foot. But give him his left foot, at times he can solve a problem for you. Yeah. What problems has Jadon Sancho shown you that he can solve?
Scored a great goal the other week, didn't he? Just like Anthony has the other week.
It wasn't as good as Anthony's goal, though. Come on,
it's still a great goal, isn't it?
Still a great goal. Was that against Palace? Was that against Palace? Sancho's goal.
Can't remember. Aidan says, Ricky just loves championship level players. Stephen, I hate to say it, but Sancho would be brilliant in a well-established team like Man City. Hopefully Erik ten Hag can make him work, but I am worried. Not having a go at Bruno, he is a fantastic player, but what's your view on him losing the ball unnecessarily in critical moments?
A few times today.
Yeah, I mean he's a polarising figure, isn't he? At the best of times, he could score a hat trick, and there's always something that he would have done that would have caused or raised a few eyebrows. But McFred, possibly the return of McFred back in midfield. This is something I wanted to bring up. They're obviously on the pitch together at some point today. Different, they weren't playing both at the base of midfield, I don't think, and Fred played, about 2 minutes or something. But with Sabitzer still being out, don't know in terms of how lengthy the layoff might be, but is it just a revert back to old, put those two back in, and would we feel comfortable in doing so? Me personally, I'd feel more comfortable than I was, but I still, it's still not ideal. What do you think?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Who else have we got?
Sorry?
Who else have we got?
Well, with Casemiro obviously out, you've obviously got, and Sabitzer out at the minute.
Eriksen missing.
Yeah, Eriksen missing. Yeah, you go kids. Yeah,
I mean,
comes down to this thing, doesn't it? Squad depth.
Yeah, we don't have a choice, but they haven't earned my trust together. They might have earned my trust individually playing with other players like McTominay and such a person of Fred and Casemiro, but this McFred partnership hasn't gained my trust yet. And when situations get dirty and situations get a bit technical, or we 1-0 down in a game, I don't see Fred and McTominay, those type of players that can step up. They're more type of players that I think is being carried. You have the likes of Casemiro or somebody in the field that can bring them up. So McFred together, I can't. And on top of that, just to add, Casemiro made a lot of terrible passes today. Trying to switch the ball and constantly and just missing his man. And that's an issue for me if I now go back and put McFred in there. Can Fred and McTominay do that? McTominay has a good pass, but again, it's not going to be like it's not like I'm going to increase my ability in midfield. So them two are very risky, and they're never in sync. They're never like in communication. We get wide open with McFred in midfield, and they're supposed to be the most energetic duo in the team.
So just quickly, the 4 fixtures that he will miss will be Fulham, the FA Cup quarter-final, Newcastle away, Brentford at home, and Everton at home. I'd like to say, in all honesty, Fulham, cup games is almost a one-off, isn't it? Anything can happen in a cup game. But Newcastle, that'll be obviously tough going away to them. Regardless if you have Casemiro in the midfield or not, it's a tough game.
Well, look at what he did to him a few weeks ago. In the cup final, Casemiro was absolutely sensational in that final. You watch the breakdown, ball interceptions, just little things that he does for the team that maybe doesn't get appreciated that much, but when you see the breakdown of it, the performance, the goal in the cup final, he took the game by the scruff of the neck. He's a big game player, and that's what he was brought to Manchester United to do.
Yeah. Zay Mayasi in the chat. Of course he is. It's nothing bad. He just says refereeing was awful today for Arsenal and United. We should have had 4. I won't say the rest. Just missed one there. Troy, Anthony, not good enough, bench player, eyebrows. I don't know if that was meant to be an emoji or not. I don't know if he's meant to type out an emoji and it's not come out. But no, we'll move on. I want to touch on De Gea because I thought, look, he always gets spoken about. We go from Ten Hag's comments in the previous game, obviously commenting himself on his distribution, saying he doesn't know why it was a factor. He mentioned, I think, a different ball and the wind, etc. But
he said, "From today, I can't ignore it."
Yeah. But today, I thought, including his distribution, but his overall game, I thought he played well today. Kev, what do you make of him? I thought he was decent. No.
What did I say to you earlier, man? This guy is here to keep the ball out of the net for Manchester United, and he has done it today. If it hadn't been for David De Gea, and I've said it so many times on here, I dread to think where we would be without this man. He's made the save, was it in the first half? The tip over the bar. There was a great save in the second half. He's great. And I know, listen, Beth comes on here and she says that distribution-wise isn't great. I agree with that, but at the same time, that's why I said be careful what you wish for. David De Gea has been a great servant for Manchester United. He's paid to keep the ball out of the net. And that's what he's done today
as well.
Yeah, he did. He commanded the box a bit better than what I've seen. It's a bit like having a striker who scores all the time, but he's not great at passing. Just something like that. Well, he's paid to put the ball in the back of the net. He's not great with his head or something like that. Because that's where this argument is coming from. People are saying that his distribution. He's not a sweeper keeper. He's not an Alisson. He's not an Ederson. These people get asphyxiated by these sweeper keepers these days. We need one. It's like having an extra player at the back and spray passes and that. De Gea's never done that. I'm quite happy with David De Gea in that.
I think a big thing where it comes from also is the style of play that Erik ten Hag is going to want to play long term.
I think he might look to mix it up. I'm not denying that, but
I don't like it. Again, I think, and I'm happy to say that week to week, it's like 1 week. I don't ever hate De Gea, but 1 week, De Gea is frustrating, and the next, he's the best thing since sliced bread.
He's trying to play out for the back, trying to do it, but you can tell he's not comfortable, one bit trying to do it. But he'll try, but of course mistakes are going to happen.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, because there's 2 or 3 keepers that we're being linked to kind of right now. Brentford's David Raya, Diogo Costa of Porto. David Raya is out of contract, I believe, next summer and is not willing to sign a new deal. So whether there's like a cheap second option that we go and work with De Gea to then phase De Gea out towards the end of however long he's got left and then bring Raya through. Whether they'd be comfortable doing that, I don't know. Jack of all trades says, Ricky is correct. McTominay got a lot of energy and passion. He played as 2 men at Old Trafford and now reading super chats. Oh, he's on about me. And now reading super chats in the studio. I was it confused me for a second. I didn't know what he was going on about. But no, I mean, to round off the De Gea point, I don't actually know your point of view on this, Ricky, in terms of whether, and it doesn't have to be as clear as whether you think De Gea needs to be replaced or not, but are you worried by De Gea's distribution?
He needs to sharpen up his distribution. Yeah. But today it was taken out of his hands a little bit, being down to 10 men.
You just got to...
We decided to play quite a few long balls, didn't we? And his kicking was good, by the way, because I've seen him kick some long balls that are not normally that good. But he was getting enough height and distance.
And then the Weghorst substitution, you're missing out on that one player that you want to hit with a long ball.
Aim with it, but we still had to play it long.
Yeah.
But we had to. And he played well today,
and that's again, I mean, no doubt, 100%. I'm sure there was a conversation before, but no doubt that would have been a conversation that Ten Hag and De Gea would have had after that game, right? Is look, like, why do you think today it went a bit wrong distribution-wise and crosses claimed, etc. It was an improvement, but what you want to see is obviously that not to stagnate or decrease. H says Sancho won most ground duels plus big chances made. We drew the game. Leroy says Ricky on Rashford is like Mariner on Casemiro. Right, and SK says Andre Mariner was in VAR room. He needs sacking. He made shockers for the Chelsea game too. Well, I mean, nothing will happen. Obviously, nothing will. He's not going to get sacked or anything. But it'll be interesting to obviously see what comes about. If there's any rule changes, I do just want to talk a little bit about Martial still being unavailable. I believe he is now training with the team actually properly now. I'm guessing to some degree Ten Hag is just thinking we need to properly, fully take our time with this. If he's going to get injured, it needs to be in training rather than a game or something. I don't know. And obviously I'm a big fan of Martial and what he can bring to Manchester United. But I think Martial can be a difference maker in games like today. Obviously, when you go down to 10 minutes, it's a different game. But I think, Martial, if he's able to get fit, let's give him another week. Let's say we get through the Europa League game, and he's in the squad for the Fulham game, and we say from now he's able to feature to some capacity. Are you keeping him for next season?
When does his contract run out next season?
I believe so. Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll double check.
Yeah, I think it's next season. I mean, no. My answer is no, because I'm going off probability. The probability of him staying fit for 3-month, 4-month period is very low, and I want to put myself. I pride myself in saying I speak Ten Haganese, so I want to put myself in Ten Hag's shoes and think, what would he want? Would he want someone? Okay, so I'm Ten Hag. I'm in Champions League. I've just won 2 trophies last season. I want to do well this season in Champions League. I need my best players for Champions League. In Premier League, I've come 3rd. I want to make a push for maybe 2nd. Can I rely on a person that'll give me, probability 3 months or etc.? I have to now have a meeting with the medical team every so often and analyze, and I have to also manage him on and off the pitch, his injuries. It's too much when I've already got XYZ players to manage. It's an extra additional headache for Van der Gaag and Ten Hag and Steve McLaren, and we don't really need that. We deserve a proper striker. As harsh as it sounds, or as thingy as it sounds, we deserve the likes of maybe a Harry Kane, maybe an Osimhen, just someone who can stay fit. People have a lot of concerns about Harry Kane's injury, which is absurd. It's not really that bad. Osimhen's injury as well, absurd. It's not really that bad. But Martial's injury record is probably one of the worst I've witnessed. As well.
That I can remember. I think Martial's Martial's up there in terms of...
Nobody ever criticises his ability on the ball. Nobody ever criticises him as a player on the pitch. It's the probability of him staying fit. I cannot take the risk, and I don't want the organisation to take the risk, because if we are in a good position next year, competing for numerous trophies, especially Champions League, I mean, getting knocked out of the Champions League is a bitter pill to swallow, and we don't want to be sat here this time next year saying, oh, if only Martial was here, if only this... Yeah.
Ability-wise, it's not even a debate. I think any United fan that watches him knows that he's got ability. And again, he's another one that we could sit there and say, do we give it time? Do we do this, that? He has had time, and this injury record, it is a shocker. It reminds me quite similar to like Louis Saha when he was at Man United. You know, a fantastic player when he was on it. Sir Alex Ferguson loved him, but again, and it's not the same injury, is it? It's not even like they're linked. They all seem to be different injuries. Like Owen Hargreaves at Manchester United used to drive you insane. You know, he'd be in the warm-up, get injured 5 minutes before you're due to kick off, and you're like, it's a luck thing. I think Martial's a quality player. I've always said left side is, you know, where he should be for Manchester United if he's fit. But
can I ask a question to Ricky? You always mention that you like left-footed, or you prefer left-footed left wingers, right-footed right wingers.
the exception.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, there is an exception.
But you mentioned you would put Harry Kane, Sancho on the right, and Martial on the left.
Yeah.
Martial, who's not the fastest as well, you know, in terms of tracking back intensity, and he's not obviously left-footed. So why would you put him on the left?
Because I was asked what I would pick and how I would play them, and that's where he can fit in. Why would I put him on the left and he's not left-footed? I've also had it said to me, City get away with it, with Grealish on the left, who's right-footed, and Mahrez on the right. Mind you, I think he's right-footed, isn't he, Mahrez? Liverpool, when they had Mane, they had a right-footed on the left, and Salah, they've got him on the right, and he's left-footed. Here's my perfect answer. That's the category of player that they are, and it's the category of player that Anthony Martial is. That's how good he is. You cannot leave him out, and I understand that but I was about to say shoehorning him in. Not shoehorning him in. Van Gaal played him on the left all the time. You know, if you're going to have Harry Kane, if we were lucky enough to get Harry Kane, if you're going to have him at number 9, Martial's still got to play. He's absolutely... Look, I agree with what you've just said about his injury record. It's horrendous. You know, in fact, if I answer the same question, I will say that he needs to play now from now till the end of the season. He really needs to get back in, and he needs to stay fit till the end of the season. If he breaks down again with whatever it is, another injury, I'll be absolutely heartbroken. But if he can play from now, fit, until the end of the season, I'd keep him, and he's that good that he's got to play. And if Kane's playing, well, that's where he has to play.
Is it fair on other players that you can come in at the latter end of the season and play 12 games, remain 10 games, whatever it is, Premier League, let's just say 15 games including all cup competitions, whatever, that you can just play 15 games and secure your position? You're that good, but is it fair? I mean, is it fair for the fans as well?
He has to earn his place in the team. If Ten Hag, phases him in, a few substitute appearances, looks lively, let's just say he starts the next game, then, if he's not great, then it should be basically all on performance, shouldn't it? But I've got no doubt if Martial's fully fit, he could work himself into that team, not a problem.
If he's fully fit to play from now till the end of the season,
that's the issue.
He will probably start on the bench to start with and get 20 minutes here and half an hour there.
That's
probably 3 games, 4 games. Fingers crossed he gets through that. Once that happens, I think the manager loves him as much as I do. You've heard him talk about him. You know what I mean?
I think he's frustrated.
He's frustrated. I agree with that. But as a player, if we can just simply put completely to the back of your mind that pretend he never gets injured, the manager loves him. No two ways about it. I love him. No two ways about it. And if he comes through 3 or 4 run-outs for 20 minutes, half an hour, I think the manager will slot him back in the team. And it's nothing to do with fairness, it's to do with wanting your best players on the field.
Yeah, and that's what it
His
comes
contract
down
does
to.
expire next year, option of a further year, so I imagine that wouldn't be. But then again, you come back to, we obviously want to round off the show, but how much can you possibly get for him? He's obviously on a hefty wage packet, isn't he, each week? So
it'd be difficult to sell him anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
If they do try and sell him, I hope they can't.
Robert McCormack.
Special agent Ricky.
What am I going to do with you?
Robert McCormack says Eric Ten Hag ain't dropping Rashford for anyone. I guess that's to your point but it's a fantasy world, isn't it? To have that front three. I'll round off the show on some quotes again from Ten Hag. This is to do with the red card as well. Ten Hag also suggested the freeze framing of potential red cards took incidents out of context. He says when you do it like this, you have to be consistent across all the games and all of the decisions. And if they isolate one, it's a little bit the same as against Crystal Palace. Definitely, when you saw that incident, you should have sent off 3 or 4 players and not only one. If you're really consistent. So again, it's
more or less what we
he's making
spoke
it known,
about earlier, wasn't it? Really,
he's making it known that consistency is something that needs to be improved upon. But I don't know. Do we need to get the same 5 or 6 people just sitting in that VAR room for every single game of football for it to? I don't know. The way Rashford and him work, we'd be top of the league. Ollie's completely ruined him.
I don't want to do that at all. To sit here and think if only Martial played, we would have been. That's embarrassing. I don't want to do that.
Well, it's like if only we didn't lose the first 2 games of the season, we'd
have
more points.
Exactly.
Well, obviously, do you know what I mean?
Hindsight is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean that's us saying if only Merton Arnold got Frankie De Jong, eh? If only this happened. If only.
No, but I mean, people just like to.
What if?
Yeah. What ifs? It's a big thing, but no, that's going to round off the show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We will do quickly some score predictions for the Europa League game. We're obviously 4-1 up on aggregate, and we'll do man of the match as well for this game. But score predictions first. Ricky, I know you don't like score predictions.
I think we'll take it easy over there. I think we'll be settling for a draw. I don't think we'll be going gung-ho for a win. I'll go for a 1-1 draw Thursday night.
5-2 on aggregate.
Exactly the same. Yeah. I had that in my head before the Godfather spoke here. So, 1-1 I'd go for. I think he's definitely going to mix the team up, but you've not got the intensity of chasing the game. You know, it's not the Barcelona kind of tie. We have got 1 foot in the next round.
Just dead quickly, can I just go back to something we spoke about before about risking Casemiro? If I don't know what Sabitzer's injury is, but if we've only got McTominay and Fred available for the league games that are coming up, if it's going to have to be them in the league games, then Casemiro's got to play Thursday night because you don't want to risk one of them getting injured on Thursday night. That's the way I'd go about it.
Yeah. He's actually thinking about it. I've just had it in my ear. We're actually going to have a lengthy layoff because we've got the international break soon, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it's going to be like a few weeks that he's obviously going to go away with Brazil, but I'm just seeing if we actually know anything about Sabitzer's. If anyone could let me know about Sabitzer's injury, if we know anything about it. But score prediction quickly.
I actually think Martial will play. I think he will introduce him because just thinking about how the team will have to set out going after Casemiro's going to be out as well. You're going to need a striker other than Weghorst because this guy has ran ragged after he's joined Manchester United. He needs a break as well, just as much as anyone. So I think Martial will play, and I think Martial will score as well. So I'll go 1-0 Manchester United.
Whoa!
I think Ten Hag will want to win the game. I just think that's his mentality. I think it's be like a 1-0, 2-1, something like that. But man of the match quickly, just before, I'm going to go with Lisandro Martinez. I think, look, he's been outstanding, obviously, for 99% of the games that we've played this season. But today, I noticed him for whatever reason, whether I was paying just more attention, I noticed him a lot more. I just think everything he does is just like, no one can seem to get the ball off of him. He's so composed at the back, bringing it forward is unbelievable. Man of the match?
I totally agree with you, Lisandro Martinez, but I've given Lisandro Martinez so many man of the matches this season already, and not to discredit him for today's performance, probably 100 out of 10, but it has to be David De Gea because he literally saved us.
There's a difference between us.
He saved us a point, and
losing that.
And these saves mean so much in the second half of the season when you're trying to create a distance between you and Tottenham and maybe close the gap to City. It's just so important. And it's so important for the team's mentality that they didn't lose. That's so important that they didn't lose this game with 10 men. So, yeah, David De Gea for me.
Kev?
Do you know what? I'll go Martinez. I've had the two brilliant shouts. I did have De Gea in my head, but I always enjoy actually seeing Martinez in the flesh at Old Trafford. Looks totally different. You know, it looks great on the telly anyway, the performances he puts in, but you just kind of, you know, the wow factor, you think, God, this guy is
kind
brilliant,
of fancy
man.
him, innit?
Oh, it's... Yeah.
He just walks like he's like a tank, innit? He just,
yeah.
I don't know. Kind of
Ricky, man of the match.
Archie Butcher.
If he'd played 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes, I'd have said Scott McTominay.
But who are you going for?
Martinez.
Martinez.
I was going to say.
No. We'll leave it. Because McTominay's going to play now, isn't he? He's going to have a chance to play. So we'll see if there is a marked improvement upon what we've been seeing previously, right? You know, he's had brilliant games for Manchester United this season. He played brilliantly in the game we beat Arsenal. So hopefully he can, you know, we want him to do well. It's not like none of us want him to do well. It's just what we've...
When he played against Liverpool, we beat him. When he didn't, we got beat 7-0.
Well, so did Elanga. I mean, are we going to say Elanga as well then? Because Elanga played as well.
Yeah. Right, we'll round it off there. Loads of it. Ricky is different. Everyone in the chat, oh my God, what is he on? Yeah, well, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Manchester United 0, Southampton 0. It's a shame. It does feel like a loss. But at the end of the day, we didn't lose, and we were with 10 men for 70% of the game. So, yeah, it's a point, and hopefully we just push on in the FA Cup in the next game. That's the main thing.
Wembley.
Yeah, hopefully we make it to Wembley.
Wembley mode again. Yeah, activated.
Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.